Happy birthday, David. I brought a feast from Caliban, though not actually from Caliban, given the state of my homeworld. But let's ignore that.
Thanks, Lion. I'm an easy man to buy. And food buys me.
And we got you a las rifle, David, since you seem to have a fear of the plasma-type weapons.
Look, they blow up, and I'm not a fan of weapons that could literally disintegrate me by the atom if I rolled a 1 on my attack.
And I've brought you a historical object that I do not value very much, but you may perhaps enjoy. An old model of a space marine, beaked helmet and all.
Oh, this is gonna be fun to paint. Thank you so much, Drazen. Of everyone who's kidnapped me in the past few months, you're definitely my favorite. Yes, that's in comparison to you too, Lion. You left me in a box there for a week. But it is Wednesday, so let's talk about something about your universe. Do y'all know who the Chaos Gods are? Lion, you probably do, given you've been in personal war with them. Multiple, actually. If we include the heresy, of course. You definitely do as well, don't you, Drazen, given your kind started out fighting the warp. Sort of won, sort of lost, then decided to take a nap. Except for you, who went on a tour of the galaxy. Well, do y'all know what the great game that the Chaos Gods play is?
Actually, yes, I know. The Chaos Gods, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh, and arguably Malal and Vashtor, compete with one another to gain total control over both real space, as you say in your language, and the realms of chaos in the warp. Each one has a different specific goal, but the ultimate goal is to destroy their siblings in their minor warfare.
Yeah, exactly. Danny, why can't you be as smart as him? Don't talk. We don't want to hear you. Well, I want to talk about who I believe will win the great game. First, we need to talk about who's winning at the moment, what each one's goals is, and the such. Let's start with the most powerful force of all chaos right now. In the grimdark future of the 41st millennia, there is only war. With that catchphrase like that, who do you think is the most powerful chaos god? This isn't a trick question, it's very obviously Khorne. Every chaos cult that tried to avoid feeding Khorne, they still end up feeding Khorne. Khorne's ultimate goal is to cause fighting. He doesn't care who fights who, so long as there is fighting. Everyone in 40k is fighting, so he's eating very well. Hell, with how orcs and Tyranids work, he's essentially got an endless buffet. Of course, with how his power works, there's a major problem with him. Eventually, there will be no more blood. All Chaos factions have this problem where they eventually will cause themselves into starvation. But Khorne is the most likely to choke himself out first. Even though there will always be people fighting, a simple fight isn't a war. It's like if you're starving and I give you a single chip. That's the inevitable point that Khorne will find himself at if he gets his way, hoping that more will kill each other, but there aren't enough people en masse to be a meal, just a bite. Slaanesh gains his power from sensation. Honestly, he's weird. Yes, I'm calling Slaanesh a he in this video. People often want to feel. They want to feel joy and pleasure and satisfaction, and often from 6 sources too, like backstabbing or force. I'm not comfortable talking about this subject, but Slaanesh just about killed himself right out the front gate by overeating. And his problem comes from the same thing. Everyone wants to feel more, but in trying to feel more, you can often kill the sensation. And Slaanesh does this a lot. The Emperor's children tried to cure their cancer and become more perfect. In an attempt at perfection, they can't be that way anymore. Their body is not feeling as much anymore. And in their attempt to get even more, their cultists often find themselves accidentally unaliving themselves. Again, this will lead to the exact situation that Khorne will find himself in. Now let's talk about Malal, or is it Malice? It depends on the setting, because the answer is yes, but actually no. Malice is his name in 40k, because technically the name Malal, which was his original name, is copyrighted by someone. It's a whole shebang, which I ain't got a clue about UK copyright laws. Malice is chaos against chaos. Because he is fighting chaos, chaos itself actually fights for his own goals. But he's not order, no. He is absolutely chaos. So even if he wins, he loses. Because he is likely to KYS eventually. Looks like the last time this Chaos God might have been talked about was in the novel Acadia Stands in 2018. So he's still canon, just not really touched, unfortunately. Vashtor technically isn't a Chaos God, but a daemon. But he's trying to get himself ranked up. Of course, if he's a daemon, who does he serve? There's a few times when Chaos Gods will put a bit of themselves into a demon in order to create a Chaos Undivided daemon. Be'lakor being one example. But unlike Be'lakor, Vashtor seems to want to become a Chaos God. And is trying his hardest to become the Chaos God of the most orderly thing imaginable, machines. Yeah, no, seriously, I don't get it either. But for some reason, the Deus Ex Machina is an attempted Chaos God of machines. He's got the most likely chance of winning, except for a couple of issues. One, despite what the Cult Mechanicus says, machines are not forever. They can stop working, they can break, they can decay. Even metal rots, kind of. But machines can build and fix machines. His problem is actually something unique. Eventually, when all is machines, nothing else can build upon them. There's nothing to innovate and create. So what about Tzeentch? Can he win? Well, to be completely honest, yes, kind of. Tzeentch is probably the oddest Chaos God because nobody's got a clue what he actually wants. He seems to be playing the game just because he's playing the game. His winning the game is so long as the game keeps going. Those that worship Tzeentch are usually in a terrible situation and just say, look, we ain't got many options. It's him or guaranteed death. Tzeentch doesn't really necessarily help or harm, mostly because what he does is just make sure things keep going, and interestingly. Of course, Tzeentch might still be able to lose too by someone else winning. And who do I think could win? Well, assuming we're not putting the Chaos Undivided demons on the list like Be'lakor or Druknian, there's really only one. Nurgle, Chaos God of Disease, and the cycle of life and death. He's the only one that can really truly win the great game. Why is that? Well, Nurgle likes to make bigger and better diseases. He tests his diseases on an Eldar goddess that always recovers and heals. There's a joke that he's got a thing for her, but she rejects his, quote, gifts, like I do with my stupid high recovery rate. Nurgle hates it when people get over his diseases, but at the same time, it does something he wants. Growth is a natural part of the path of life. And you getting over sickness gives him an excuse to make something bigger, badder, and worse. And what's even worse is that if he succeeds, he can still make more. If he loses and nothing is able to get sick, he still won, as everything has grown to be their best part. Hell, even tech he can infect with viruses. Nurgle is the winner of the great game, but now I've got to rest up. I'm still not feeling... Do y'all hear that?
Here. Wait. Oi! Who thought I was a good shot?
Nah, I'm not putting up with him. Shove off!